And we're going to look at examples of mental illness. So this is from the CDC. People can experience different types of mental illness or disorders, and they can often occur at the same time. Mental illnesses can occur over a short period of time or be episodic. This means that the mental illness comes and goes with discrete beginnings and ends. Mental illness can also be ongoing or long-lasting. There are more than 200 types of mental illness. Some of the main types of mental illness and disorders are listed here. And again, listed 200. So this is just a small portion of it. You got ADD, ADHD, adolescent development. We got Alzheimer's, amnesia, anxiety, autism, bipolar disorder. And so this is a list that I got from the CDC. This link where it says here, this is where it takes you to this list. You're going to look at some symptoms of mental illness. Signs and symptoms of mental illness can vary depending on the disorder, circumstances, and other factors. Mental illness symptoms can affect emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. So again, when we went back at the definition of mental illness, your mind, how you think, how you do things, is in poor health or something's off. Emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. Examples of signs and symptoms include feeling sad or down, confused thinking or reduced ability to concentrate, excessive fears or worries, or extreme feelings of guilt, extreme mood changes of highs and lows, withdrawal from friends and activities, significant tiredness, low energy or problem sleeping, detachment from reality, delusions, paranoia or hallucinations, inability to cope with daily problems or stress, trouble understanding and relating to situations and to people, problems with alcohol or drug use, major changes in eating habits, sex drive changes. And a little point about the sex drive changes, that can be either it's really high or it's really low. Excessive anger, hostility or violence, suicidal thinking. Sometimes symptoms of mental health disorder appear as physical problems, such as stomach pain, back pain, headaches, or other unexplained aches and pains. To be honest, everything on this list, for the most part, I have seen manifested in our community, and particularly with Black men. And some of these things are prevalent in even the manosphere stuff. So how is mental illness a problem? We looked at the definition of what it is. We looked at some symptoms, examples of mental illness. So how is it a problem? Let's look at the complications. This is from the Mayo Clinic. Mental illness is a leading cause of disability. Untreated mental illness can cause severe emotional, behavioral, and physical health problems. Complications sometimes linked to mental illness include unhappiness and decreased enjoyment of life, family conflicts, relationship difficulties, social isolation, problems with tobacco, alcohol, and other drugs, missed work or school, or other problems related to work or school, legal and financial problems, poverty and homelessness, self-harm and harm to others, including suicide or homicide, weakened immune system, so your body has a hard time resisting infections, heart disease, and other medical conditions. Again, a lot of stuff that exists within our community. Sure, it exists in humanity as a whole, you know what I'm saying? But I'm more concerned and care a lot about the Black community because, again, I'm a Black man and I'm part of that community and I want our community to thrive and get better. And I think it's important that we start to try to address those things that are impacting our community and that things that need to be healed. Untreated mental illness, I think, has a big part to play, especially in Black men. Mental illness is not a scapegoat for the bad behavior of Black men. I'm going to say that again. I'm not bringing this up and I'm not saying this to be like, well, this is the issue. We just kind of got to accept it, you know? Black men just going to be crazy. They're just going to be mentally sick. What you going to do about it? No, it's not an excuse. What it is, though, is something that we need to point out and we need to address. Just like any other condition, I mentioned that slide earlier, mental illness is nothing to be ashamed of. It is a medical problem, just like heart disease or diabetes. Heart disease or diabetes, and I'm assuming that they're meaning type 2, something that you weren't born with. Heart disease and diabetes are things that can be cured if you take the right steps to actually reverse the malady. So again, yes, I'm not saying mental illness is a scapegoat or just a valid excuse for why Black men are the way they are and why they're in the state that they are in. But it is something that needs to be acknowledged so that it can be addressed so that we can actually get better. Trying to fix a problem, don't even really know the source of the issue. We don't know the problem. In my opinion, we got to identify it so that we can fix it. There are those who suffer from extreme cases of mental illness that can lead to uncontrollable and unreasonable behaviors. I get that. Those are extreme cases. But just because there's, like fixing a car, like there's a car wreck and something, your whole engine just falls out. That's an extreme case. But if you don't change your oil, which is something that can be treated, that's treatable, if you don't change your oil after a while, your car is going to break down. It's not going to function at its best. What I'm saying is, I think there is an issue of mental illness. There's an issue of the oil change that needs to happen inside of Black men. And it's way beyond past. We're thousands, 100,000s of miles past it, and we need to fix it. We need to change this oil. We need to change its filters. We need to change some spark plugs. We need to change a lot of stuff. And again, I'm saying we because I am a Black man, and I know I got issues too, but I just want to point to the problem. So one, I can start fixing and working on my life, but so that other men in our community can do the same. I'm suggesting that someone's mental state, mild or severe, can have an influence on their behavior, decisions, and beliefs. Going back to the definition of mental illness, mental, your mind, how you think, how you process, how you do stuff that lead to your actions and stuff like that. If that is in poor health, sickness, you can't behave well. You can't make good decisions. And it's definitely going to impact what you believe. Harping back on that I am the prize thing. I believe our community has suffered tremendously since we arrived here as enslaved people hundreds of years ago. And I know some people are like, well, you're going back to the slave talk. You're going back to slavery, all this stuff, making excuses. I'm not making excuses. I'm not trying to make an excuse. I'm, again, just pointing out facts that the Black community has been suffering and dealing with the after effects of this peculiar institution of American slavery. And it hasn't been healed. It hasn't been fixed. It hasn't. Sure, there are a lot of cases of people finding success and things getting better and things like that. But there's a lot of things that are still impacting us to this day. I believe the results of that suffering has compounded over time, and it affects us to this very day. Sure, we get freed from slavery, quote unquote, and then you have Jim Crow. And then you have, it's always something else, always something else. And I feel like when it comes to our mental health and well-being, that stuff's not being addressed at all, particularly in Black men. I think the big issue for Black men is that we have yet to adequately address, heal, and do the necessary work to get to a better state as a whole. I don't think we have. I think there are great examples of Black men who are thriving and doing well and doing right. But I think in general, we need help. I think that first help starts with helping ourselves. And a big part of that is acknowledging that we need help. And it doesn't necessarily, we don't need somebody to come in and save us or whatever. We need to do the work to get better. We need to do the work to get to a better position because that's what men are supposed to do. I got this problem. I need to fix it. So yeah, there are many exceptions. And I do want to make this note. I've heard and seen this response saying that like, yeah, Black men are jacked up, but Black women are making it. Why aren't the men? I have a couple of responses to that. One, in general, I think Black women are amazing. We know this. We know this for a fact. Black women are incredible. I think the thing is Black women have been surviving and are still struggling to overcome and heal from the negative impacts and traumas of our past. They really are. Like a lot of the excellence that we see from Black women is a response to traumatic experiences. Like they have to work incredibly hard to get out of situations that are devastating to them. And you see it, whether it's grandma, great grandma, doing everything she has to do for her and her babies. Then her daughter, grandma, doing the same thing. And then mom, and then daughter. Like generation after generation, Black women have to do whatever monumental feat to escape. And for Black men, we're not addressing these issues, and it just creates a cycle. Black men are not adequately addressing the root of the issues, which again, I suggest is mental illness. And it creates an ongoing cycle of dysfunction and malady. And again, there are exceptions. The picture that I'm painting is if you have sons and daughters and a family, and the sons are trying to look at their father as an example of how to be a man. But we'll just say the father's trash. He doesn't show up for his family. Say he struggles with alcohol addiction or drug addiction. Say he's abusive. He hasn't healed from the abusiveness that happened in, his upbringing. So he just repeats that. And so he's not presenting a good image. He's manifesting and putting on display the symptoms of his own mental illness. And now that's going to impact the children. It's going to impact the son, and it's going to impact the daughter. It's a hypothetical situation, but stick with me here. Or say the father isn't there at all. So now you have a mom who is trying to do everything in her power to make sure her kids, are alive. And can survive the situation and potentially go out and do better things for themselves. And even in that, now the mom has struggles that she has to deal with. Her mental health is off. So now that's going to impact the way that she responds to her children, how she treats her son. In some cases can be overprotective, or, she's trying her best to try to be a father and a mother, even though she wasn't designed to do that. And so now the son isn't getting good, clear images and messages. Then it leaves the daughter now seeing her mom, an older version of her. The daughter seeing, this is a reflection of me. This is, an image of what I should be aspiring to. Now you see the mom hustling, striving, fighting, overcoming, doing incredible feats. Of course you're going to end up doing that again. Like you're repeating what you're seeing. You're in a situation where you don't want to be like that. You don't want to be in the position that your mom's in. So you're going to do whatever the hell you need to do to get out. So yeah, that's going to impact the way Black women thrive. And that situation is also going to impact the way Black men fail. That image means a lot. And again, what I'm suggesting is this whole mental illness thing is impacting how men can be men. If we're not adequately addressing the root of the issue, it just creates a cycle. And it's a cycle that needs to be addressed. This is a huge issue that needs to be addressed. And I believe before we can see some real change in our community, we got to acknowledge it and we got to do the work to change it.